This video is sponsored by Squarespace. You can get a 14-day free trial and 10% off your first order by using this link and code in the description box down below. Okay, alright, so I'm going to do one of these today because I'm not allowed to go out with these very hot potatoes that I have on my hands that I cannot unleash on the public. Basically those who haven't signed an NDA. I must clarify that these are not cooked root vegetables on my hands, but rather a couple of lovely camera surprises from Canon in the form of this and that. And if you've been playing the this, that, these and those drinking game, you're probably on the floor by now. Anyway, this and that are Canon's expansion into the world of vlogging cameras that they started off with this. The V10, which looked like a doorbell from the front, a handheld gaming thing from the back, and looked like this from within the camera. Now it's back to a more conventional looking thing. This. Well, if we are being picky, this has actually been launched already, but that was for an Asia release. But now they're announcing it for a release everywhere else, which is a surprise if you live in the proximate region of elsewhere and you don't have the internet. But yes, the other surprise is the R50V over there, which hasn't been announced here, there, or elsewhere. But I'm going to start with what I think is the star product right here. And I mean it, after all, I'm not one for chucking celestial ratings all over the shop so easily. There is something about a camera that gives me a warm fuzzy feeling. It's got an old school vibe, if old school is old school for TikTok kids. It sort of looks and feels G1X like, and it takes 22 megapixel stills, but here's the twist. It's focused for video. Or vlogging. That probably sounds cooler. Well, it probably did 5 years ago. Vlogging cameras are 10 a penny now. But I hear you say there's a crap ton of vlogging cameras available already. What makes this different? Well, the big thing about the V1, that's the Powershot V1 right here, and maybe I shouldn't have taken this long to mention the product name, but the big thing with this, and maybe it's not really all that physically big, but it's a 1.4 inch sensor, which is almost micro four thirds like. For relatively compact cameras, and I say that because it's not all that small, with a built-in zoom lens, it is a big thing. It is not just the sensor size that is important, but rather the combination of that in this type of camera. Canon is doing something which I don't know why it hasn't been done before. I mean, micro four thirds-ish sensor, good for video, vlogging, compact camera. You would have thought Panasonic would have done that first, right? But otherwise, if you want to go for that very specific product of vlogging compact camera with built-in zoom lens, then you've got 1-inch sensor options from Sony, the ZV-1 and ZV-2, which I have bought both of them, and I've regretted twice, rather stupidly, because they aren't all that different to using a smartphone, so just use your phone. Most film your own face kind of people have got a film your own face camera ready, and a significant percentage of that is most likely using their phone cam, which camera brands would love to sell products to. But if you move away from rather decent looking phone footage to a 1-inch sensor camera and it looks worse, then why bother? But the larger sensor of the Powershot V1 has obvious and clear benefits over those 1-inch sensor options. Dynamic range and shallower depth of field. Where the Sony ZV-1 would produce a bright white overblown sky, the Canon will still maintain those details, plus check out the bokeh-fied background. It gives the Powershot V1 video a greater appeal. But that is even before you get to the cool bits! The fan! Keeping bits cool. Yes, it seems like an idea that's pretty much implausible with a camera body that small, but they managed to cram a fan inside of this body. And it has been neatly integrated in the body. The sensor is this far back, and they've crammed in a 16 to 50mm equivalent zoom lens, and amongst other bits, the tilty flippy screen and the fan behind the sensor. In terms of battery life, it may not last that much longer than the ZV-1 but when you plug it into USB-C power, it just goes on forever. In 20 degrees C indoor temp, no direct sun, with fan on auto, the overheating meter never reached more than halfway. The fan just elevates it from being a casual use camera. I mean, it really can film almost seemingly forever. I had to stop the tests because it was just taking too long, and I need to film this bit, and I need to pack it and send it back to Canon. Now going back to lens, 1650 equivalent, it doesn't go that long on the tele end, but at the widest it's quite generously wide at 16mm, and the important thing is, it's got optical stabilization, so when you're using stabilization, it's still wide. Applying steady shot on the Sony incurs a bit of a crop, so that 18mm wide works out to be around 22mm. The optical IS on the Canon retains the wide angle and seems sufficient for keeping those walking talking shots steady enough. Even with standard digital IS on the Canon, it's still wider than the ZV-1 too, and I think it's more than sufficient for this kind of vlogging shot. You can bump up the digital IS a notch on the Canon to enhance, which brings the crop to almost the same as the Sony, but at least you have that option not to use it. With the Sony, it's either off or active steady shot, which is really needed. And even then, it just looks not very well done, as you can see with the weird blurring on the edges. Both cameras are being held mounted on the same mounting plate, so the movement should be pretty much the same, but even with stationary shots on the tele end, it's easier to get more stable looking handheld shot with the Canon. And simply put, for handheld shots with the Canon, it just looks better. In fact, I'm just going to say it, overall, the Canon just looks better than the Sony. Dynamic range, shallower depth of field, the stabilization. It is a better vlogging camera. There you go. And of course, we don't need to worry about autofocus. It's got the dual pixel CMOS too. Look. And by the way, I must add that it focuses very close at the widest. It's really, really close focusing. But then it's got video-centric features that will appeal to more than just the casual vlogger. So it's got tally lamp over there, built-in ND filter, time code, zebra, and it's got not just a mic jack, and that sounds like some dude with two first names as a name, but also a headphone jack. But anyway, to wrap it up, as a vlogging camera, it's great. The microphone sounds great. In fact, spoiler alert, the microphone sounds better than it does on the R50V. And now we've got the steady shot on active, of course, and the Canon's has got optical stabilization on, but also digital stabilization enhanced. Okay, so now FX30 is on standard steady shot, Canon's optical stabilization on, which brings us neatly to that camera. Now, as this is called the R50V, this is actually based on the entry-level R50. So yes, essentially the R50 Inids in a body which is more video focused. It doesn't have a fan, but it does have a vertical tripod mount on the side. It does have more movie camera icons on the twiddly knob there, and then on the twiddly knob on the front. I mean, sorry to bombard you with so many technical terms. Right there, that's for the power zoom, which this lens is. It's a PZ. It does end up taking some things away that were present on the R50. It doesn't have an EVF, you're just using the LCD screen. But it's pretty nicely spec'd for video. It's got false color, it's got zebra peaking, it's got C-Log 3, it's got 4K 422 10-bit, and then it's got 4K 60. It is a cropped 4K 60, but the R50 didn't have that. This does. Then you've got the two jacks, you've got time code, you've got tally lamp, you've got the USB-C power, all in the body, which is pretty much the same size as the Powershot V1. Of course, that has the lens built in and that's got a fan. But you know what? The R50V is cheaper than the V1. That is really quite a nice camera for not much money. Whenever I hear about a new vlogging camera, I just get a twitchy sphincter, and it has nothing to do with my fibre intake. Vlogging cameras have often teetered on the edge of lameness, basic specs, packaged in colourful boxes and promoted with happy, smiley, pretty people having fun. And the previous V10 might have made me feel a bit nervous this time round, but Canon has served up rather well. The R50V is cheaper than Sony's ZV-E10 too, and it does offer up more video taking tools that a typical vlogging camera would offer. It lacks in-body sensor shift stabilization, but if you get a lens with optical IS, that's all you need. Both the Powershot V1 and R50V are pleasant surprises because they aren't products that underestimate the needs of a vlogger. And if Canon continues this way, they might just well become the more popular choice when it comes to vlogging cameras. This video was sponsored by Squarespace. If you're thinking about setting up your own personal photo website, now's a great time because you can set one up quicker than ever using Squarespace's snazzy interface that makes putting it together quick and easy. There's a huge array of templates to choose from, and you can even ask AI to put together some parts of your website for you. You can get a domain too, and the best thing is that you can get a 14-day free trial and 10% off your first order by using this link and code in the description box down below.